Well, hello again, Professor Tom here. If you happen to see the other video, the weekly video notes for the introduction, welcome to the class. You heard me say that from week to week when I do these, I change props around. I'm making a separate video, just a basic one, on instructions for or a narrative related to your research project. So I've already changed some of the props around. You can see a little bit of difference. What I wanted to say about the research project is you can see the narrative is already attached in print, everything you need to do. But I thought this is the first time I'm trying a research project of this caliber. And essentially what you are doing is you are choosing one of the 3 or 4 topics that I have given you as options. And you first of all choose the topic that interests you the most. And then your next step would be to read the reference I have in the textbook related to that topic. And then you need to start doing some research. And it's going to be more involved than just going to Wikipedia or looking at a couple of resources online. What I want you to do is you can look at one source online if you want to for your first one, just to get an idea of direction. In fact, I'm trying to think of an example of one. You'll see that one of the options is called the Battle of Kadesh. This was the first recorded battle in history where everything related to the battle was actually recorded and documented, the first time in history. It took place in roughly 1274 BC. It was between the Egyptians and the Hittites. There were like 40 to 60,000 men involved, and it was fought over this important port town called Kadesh. And so the battle is just described in many different forms and resources. And an example is that you can go to YouTube. I just did this the other day, and I found like an hour-long documentary on the Battle of Kadesh. That's fine if you want to look at that and use that as one of your sources. But again, I'm just using this as an example. What I would also like you to do is start digging into research, paper research at your local library. Now, it doesn't have to be Thomas Nelson, but the Thomas Nelson Library is just stocked full of information. And I've already talked to the librarian, their research librarian, and she told me that if you come in and just start asking about the topic you're researching, if they don't have the information there, they can direct you to where you can find it. They can also secure books and journals for you from around the country because they're a college library. So there's no reason not to be able to find the material. I also have a very good friend who works at the Hampton Library, the branch on Victoria, the main one. And she has been very, very helpful. In fact, it was she who kind of developed this idea for a research project. So you're welcome to go there. And Rita said she would help as much as she could. They don't have a ton of information for research. But again, if they don't have it, they can help you find it through the Virginia library system. And so there's lots of ways, or if you live on the other side of the water in Norfolk, you can go to your library there. I do know that you can also, if you want, you could probably use the libraries at CNU, or if you prefer, you could use the library at Hampton University. I used to teach there, so I know that it's a beautiful library. But I think being a non-student, if you're a non-student at one of those schools, you have limited access. But I don't think you can be denied. As a non-student, you can only have access to so much information. That would be the same if you're living across the water again and you want to get something from ODU or TCC. Maybe you want to go to TCC. That would be okay too. So the thing is, use a library that's convenient for you. And what I'll do is I'll say, please don't wait until the last minute because your product won't turn out very well at all. And then the documents that you're going to produce related to all this research, the first set will be it will be an abstract. That's usually very short. Look up an abstract, what it contains. You're going to write a cover page. You're going to do the first page of an essay, a proposed essay, and you're going to have your citations in there. And then you're going to have a very complete works cited page. Those will be the 4 documents that you'll have to produce as the basic completion of the assignment. And I'll talk more about this as we get into the semester more. This is just a highlight. But I do have a built-in option. If you choose, if the subject that you've chosen is very interesting to you and you would like to go ahead and write the whole essay, if you will write like between 12 and 1,500 words in MLA format, doing everything, the cover page, the abstract, the works cited page, all of it, you'll be exempted from the final exam. You'll be exempted from it. The point value will be the same. 200 points for completing the essay, and the 200 points if you decide to do the exam. You can't do both. I don't want you doing both because there is no extra credit. And besides, if you've reached the point where you're just 200 shy of a perfect score, then it won't make any difference. But don't attempt to do both. I wouldn't want that. Choose one or the other. So anyway, take a look at this and see if you have any questions. Again, this is the first time that I've tried this type of a research project. And I wanted to put more emphasis on the research part because if you decide to go into 4-year school, eventually, no matter what subject matter or major, you're going to have to write a paper sooner or later. And depending on the field you're in, there's going to be different formats. If you're in psychology, there's a format style called the APA. In humanities, history, and other liberal arts, it's MLA. And then there's all kinds of format styles for the medical field. In fact, I think there's an individual style for each one of the branches of medicine. So it's probably good to get used to understanding at least the basics of formats for research papers. And the MLA is really very easy. It's not that hard. And I want you to become familiar with it because it's really one of the more basic. So that's it. If you have any questions about this, let me know. Go over the topics, go over the guidelines, the due date, everything else, this video. And then if you have any questions about that, let me know, and I'm very happy to talk to you. But I'm probably going to be talking about this a lot because it's really not going to be to your advantage to wait until like the last week of school to try and get this done. There's just not enough time. So it's a good thing to start early because this is the only project you have for the course. Other than your weekly assignments and the midterm exam, this is it. So it's really not like I'm overloading you with a lot of work. And I'm just being very strong about, especially if you have to get books ordered from another university or a library from around the country, it's going to take time to get those to the library. And I tried to find topics that were interesting. If you have one that, and I'm open to topics of your choice as long as they involve some substantive research. I would never force you to choose only the topics that I've selected. If you have one that you just really would like to write about it and research, I'm all open. Just propose it to me. And of course, this covers just our chapters like 1 through 13 in the text for Humanities 201. Your primary textbook covers everything for Humanities 201 and 202, but I do want to put that limit on it, that it has to be related. And boy, if you have trouble finding something to write about, then I'm not sure what to say, because we cover everything from ancient Mesopotamia right on through the Italian Renaissance. There's so much classical Greece and classical Rome and the Middle Ages and the plague and the Renaissance and architecture and art, medicine. There's like gobs and gobs. Ancient Egypt. There's tons and tons of material in these 13 chapters. So I'm sure you should be able to find something, or you're definitely welcome to choose one of the topics I've selected. All right, thank you again. And again, if you have any questions, get a hold of me. All right, thanks. Bye-bye.